2021 starting quarterback Cade McNamara did have surgery on Tuesday, and I tweeted this out yesterday, so this should not be a surprise to anyone who follows me on Twitter or across social media, but some people were caught off guard by it. I guess it's because the blog boys don't report on anything related to injuries unless Jim Harbaugh says directly to them themselves what happened. But just like Eric All about 3 weeks ago, Cade McNamara put on his Instagram a picture of him going in to get his surgery. I've heard two different reports on what the injury is. It's a leg injury, but it will keep him out the rest of the 2022 season. And there is at least some reasonable speculation that the surgery is happening now, so he is healthy before spring practice, when he'll most likely, almost I would say 99%, seek opportunities elsewhere shortly after the Big Ten championship game in December, before schools get set up for the 2023 college football season. So go down in the comments, wish Cade McNamara luck, wish him well with his surgery, which we hear was successful, and his recovery. Type "get better Cade" down below in the comments. Wish Cade McNamara well, and Hank, frankly, wish him a strong and from the heart farewell on his future endeavors. He has 2 years of eligibility left in college football. Hopefully they are successful. Just very unlikely they will be at Michigan. We will talk more injuries here on the show coming up right now. The Michigan Football Report is presented by Manscaped. I love this bad boy, the Lawnmower 4.0. We'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the show. 20% off and free shipping using promo code GOBLUE, no spaces, at manscaped.com. We are going to talk Michigan football injuries and some rumors headed into the game Saturday against Nebraska, which after you hear what we're going to talk about today, if you don't keep up with things on a minute-by-minute basis on the internet, you will probably have a little less excitement and enthusiasm about this being any sort of competitive game. Maybe it's a little bit better. Michigan doesn't have to play their starters as long as they probably normally would in an average year against Nebraska. So that's all coming up here in a moment. But want to ask you to subscribe to the channel as we approach 23,000 subscribers. We are 158 away, 22,842. The most watched, consumed, read, listened to Michigan football program in the universe. Be part of the community. It's youtube.com/Michigan TV. Green is good. And what I mean by green, I'm talking about Gemon Green, Michigan's starting cornerback, who was in the melee in the Big House Stadium 2 weeks ago with Michigan State. He did not play against Rutgers, but did make the trip. Will Johnson got the start. I think there is some reasonable amount of speculation with Gemon Green that the trip was more of a, what's the word I'm kind of using here? Rah-rah kind of thing, right? He got struck over the head multiple times. He was all in the news coming out of the Michigan State game, hiring a lawyer in the lawsuit, and he was shook up. Now, whether he was fully injured, I think there's some speculation on that. From what I've heard, it really wasn't a truly an injury, and if it would have been the Ohio State game last week, he probably would have been available to play, but made the trip to kind of be part of the guys, not be sitting at home in his apartment watching a game from 1,000 miles away out in New Jersey, thinking he should be playing. Michigan wanted to make sure he was in the right headspace, in the right frame of mind, heading into the home stretch here in November. You've got Nebraska. Then, Big Ten West leaders Illinois next week, followed by the trip down to Columbus with Ohio State. So expect Gemon Green to be in uniform. We expect him to be a play on Saturday. Whether he will start, to be determined. I think Jim Harbaugh never really knows what he's going to do with some of these things until they walk out on the field. But could this have been a blessing in disguise? And what I mean by that is Gemon Green has been playing a ton this year, started the first 9 games of the year, but getting Will Johnson some starting time, giving him that starting in a ruckus road atmosphere at Rutgers, at least for the first half when they went into halftime with the lead. Now you've got 3 players at safety and now 3 players at cornerback that have significant playing time and starting playing time. So you've got 6 highly capable players in the secondary. And then you got Mike Sainer still on top of that as number 7 is the nickel, kind of do all everything. So 7 guys in the secondary with significant playing time and now starting time, with Gemon Green being out last week and Will Johnson getting his first career start. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise that you have 7 capable players that can defend the bevy of receivers that Ohio State will throw at Michigan on November 26th. Speaking of Ohio State, if you want to beat Ohio State again, Bosa, make sure you like the video, send out the good vibes in the universe. Don't jinx it. Don't be the guy. Just don't be the guy. I know the guy. I banned him from the show. I blocked him on Twitter that didn't like the video before the Michigan State game last year, so don't fall into that category. Like today's video. Put out the vibes. Michigan going to get the win in Columbus on November 26th. Coming up towards the end of the show, we're going to talk about some wild transfer rumors out there that you are going to want to know about. Not sure how much validity there are to these rumors yet, but they seem to kind of take over the Michigan internet vibe all on Wednesday evening. So stay tuned for that. I'll give my thoughts on what the future of the Michigan football roster looks like after this season. But I want to talk about the offensive line and some injuries right now. This offensive line has been ravaged by injuries all season long, and I actually, without looking at the actual player participations, have these guys all been in the lineup for a single game this entire year? It's tough to remember if they all have, maybe one or two. So let's just kind of take a look at the starting offensive line coming out of fall camp. Ryan Hayes, he missed last week's game. Trevor Keegan, he came out of the game in the fourth quarter at Rutgers. Olu Oluwatimi and Zach Zinter have been healthy majority of the year. They might have been nicked up here. And Trente Jones has missed the last 3 games. So Michigan has had to have all kinds of different guys rotating in and out. Last week, Karsen Barnhart, who has been filling in for Trente Jones for the last 3 weeks and was the 6th offensive lineman, according to Jim Harbaugh, leading into the season. And then Jeffrey Persi, they got the starts at left tackle. Barnhart moved over there for Ryan Hayes, and Persi kind of backfilled Barnhart, who had been playing at right tackle, with the absence of Trente Jones. So Ryan Hayes, I'm not sure about. Keegan left the game against Rutgers. I don't expect him to play on Saturday, although I hope I am wrong on that, but just kind of hearing what he left with and what typically that means for Michigan's team. You might not expect him back until the Ohio State game, just the way things sound. So let's keep an eye on that as you go into the game. It'll be interesting to see who Michigan rolls out as their starting offensive line coming up on Saturday against Nebraska. But we are rolling out Manscaped for this holiday season, folks. I'll be having a great holiday season thanks to our friends over at Manscaped. Everyone loves turkey and stuffing, but you will be looking like dessert in the bedroom thanks to the Lawnmower 4.0. I use this bad boy. It's amazing. I take it in the shower. It's got a light. You can have a charger. You charge bad boy up. You kind of zoop. You make things look all nice and clean down below the belt. And Manscaped makes a great stocking stuffer. You can wrap this bad boy up, toss in a stocking. They've got all kinds of men's grooming products, including some deodorant, cologne, the products you see on screen. They've even got an ear and nose trimmer for you at manscaped.com. Use promo code GOBLUE. Let your friends and family know to use promo code GOBLUE so they can save 20% and get free shipping this holiday season when they buy you Manscaped as a holiday gift. Coming up, we're less than 50 days away, about 50 days away from Christmas. So tell your friends, tell your family, manscaped.com. Use promo code GOBLUE. Get yourself a nice stocking stuffer. I really recommend the Lawnmower 4.0, manscaped.com. Promo code GOBLUE. Link is down in the comments and the description of today's video. My take on these injuries before we talk some more injuries are all that matters right now for Michigan. Assuming they win against Nebraska, where they're now 31-point favorites, assuming they win against Illinois next Saturday, all that matters is that you are as close to being fully healthy as possible when you take on Ohio State in 16 days. You do not want to be going down to Columbus, where you haven't won as a program in 22 years. You don't want to be going down there with 1 or 2 offensive linemen out with injury. You don't want to be going out there with Blake Corum not 100%. So all that matters right now, get this team healthy, get this team in a position to go to Columbus and get the victory over the Ohio State Buckeyes. Some nuggets of info for you, just kind of going down the chart here and make sure you guys know where things stand. I told you on Tuesday and then into Wednesday, Blake Corum had multiple nagging injuries coming out of last week's game. He is expected to play. He wants to prove his durability to NFL scouts, NFL teams. He doesn't want to be seen as a guy who you can't count on. So he's been pushing to play all week, but the coaches do want to limit the hits he takes. I think there was some concern that he had 9 carries in the first 2 drives inside, the 2-yard line when Michigan really struggled to push it in, down a couple offensive linemen. Understandable. So expect him to play, but I would be really surprised if he gets anything more than 20 carries, and hopefully he's out of the game by about the mid-third quarter where Michigan has a sizable lead is what the expectation is. Donovan Edwards, expect him to see more snaps like you saw last week. Also, split out at wide receiver. You'll see him catch passes as a wide receiver, split out, and coming out of the backfield. The expectation of him going forward is 4 to 5 catches per game, which frankly would mean he's going to be Michigan's leading wide receiver, whether he's from the running back position or the wide receiver position, based on what we've seen so far this year. How about 5-star 2024 recruit Jaden Davis? Heavy lean to Michigan coming out of his second visit a couple weeks ago against Michigan State. The expectation inside Schembechler Hall is that he commits soon. What soon, I believe, means within a week or two after his high school season is over. They are currently in the North Carolina State playoffs, so we'll see how that shakes out, but expect him to be the next big-time commit for Jim Harbaugh. Knowing that Blake Corum might have limited snaps coming up against Nebraska coming up tomorrow. I almost said Rutgers. How many rushing yards will he have Saturday against Nebraska? I'm going to say 114 is the number. And I think this might be one of those games where he goes into halftime with like 106 rushing yards, gets 2 carries in the third quarter, and that is all she wrote. He won't get any more carries the rest of the game. They'll save him up for the Illinois game a week from Saturday. Michigan, folks, is now favored 31 over Nebraska, and that may go up and up from here. We will see how some things shake out over the next 48 hours until kickoff. Over-under has dropped. It was 51, 51.5. Now with some injuries from Nebraska side, now the over-under is 48.5, which really means in a lot of ways that the sports books don't really expect Nebraska to score much at all. This 31-point spread, where it stands right now, the biggest gambling underdog Nebraska has ever been in the history of their program. I had to confirm this stat that I saw on Twitter earlier today. I went back to some of those games in 2018, 2019 when they were really bad, 2017 when Michigan and Ohio State beat them by 50 points, etc. No, 26-point underdog, 27 they were once or twice, so they'd never been a 30 or even a 31-point underdog in the history of their program. So pretty interesting thing to think about. The Nebraska starting quarterback, I alluded this to on Tuesday and then on Wednesday's show as well, that Casey Thompson missed last week's game against Minnesota, and he was expected to maybe make a shot to return, but I didn't expect him to play, and it has been confirmed now by their interim head coach. He will miss his second straight game on Saturday, which means Chuba Purdy, what a name that is. Chuba, whatever you say. I know it's Chuba, but I like Chuba. Brock Purdy's younger brother, and then Logan Smothers, right? They both stunk last week against Minnesota. Purdy so much, he was like 6 of 16 with 1 interception. So much so that Logan Smothers came in to relieve him in the second half and ultimately ended the game. So expect the announcement after Nebraska's practice today. So by the time you watch this announcement may have been made, but their head coach said that they will make a decision and announce the starter for Saturday after Thursday's practice to see who plays better, who's more ready to go into the big house as 31-point underdogs. Knowing the score, Michigan 31-point favorites against Nebraska. It's been an interesting one, right? How far off has Nebraska fallen? We showed you the stats. They had 3 wins last year, with 3 wins in 2020, 4 wins here, 5 wins here. They have just been bad for so long. It's really a shame to see in this age of college football a traditional power like Nebraska really not bring anything from a competitive standpoint to the Big Ten over the last 6, 7, 8 seasons. Predict the score of this game. I've got a new score prediction. Knowing that Casey Thompson is going to be out, I've got Michigan win this one 49-3. So that's my new prediction. I think I said 42-7 or 42-10 early in the week. I'm switching it up. I think Michigan will absolutely blow out Nebraska. And so that is my prediction. Make sure you guys get yours down in the comments. Michigan, Nebraska, predict the score here on the Michigan Football Report. Some more news out of Nebraska. Their starting safety, Miles Farmer, got a DUI in the last few days coming out of that Minnesota game. I didn't really see what day. Was it Saturday night or Sunday or, sometimes it's after midnight. But he got a DUI. He has been suspended for at least this week's game against Michigan. He is their second leading tackler. He had 14 tackles this past week against Minnesota. So they are going to miss a heck of a player. Now, clearly, that plays maybe into Michigan's hands for being able to go deep with J.J. McCarthy, which has not been working much for Michigan, but maybe with the second team safety back there for Nebraska, they may have a little more success with that one. So Nebraska down the starting quarterback and down their starting safety on Saturday. What's up with these Braylon Allen transfer rumors? If you're not familiar, Braylon Allen, the Wisconsin starting running back, started as a true freshman last year, had a hell of a freshman season, like 1,300, 1,400 rushing yards last year. Off to a hell of a start this year, too. Take a look at his stats as of today. 172 carries. He's just shy of 1,000 yards rushing through 9 games for Wisconsin. 5.8 yards per carry, and 10 touchdowns. There has been all kinds of speculation, Twitter, message boards, etc., in the last 24 hours. It was a hot topic last night across Michigan Twitter and the internet that he is going to put his name into the transfer portal, right? They've got a fired head coach. They've got Jim Lenneman as an interim right now. He is looking for greener pastures, likes what he sees out of Michigan with Hassan Haskins last year, Blake Corum this year, and apparently he's been following a bunch of Michigan players on Twitter over the past week or so. So I don't know if this is legit rumor or not, but I say Michigan sure could use him next season, right? As I've said all this week, with the speculation that Donovan Edwards is going to be used more as a wide receiver throughout this year, Michigan can't move Edwards to wide receiver going into next year because they don't have anybody that they can really trust as a starting running back. Edwards has got to be that guy. But if Braylon Allen came over, that would make a hell of a 1-2 combo like Michigan has had the last 2 seasons. Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum last year. Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards this year. How about Donovan Edwards and Braylon Allen next year? Could be a hell of a thunder and lightning. His game reminds me probably more of Hassan Haskins than it does Blake Corum Allen. So we'll be interested to see. I'll take it. Michigan has had some success with transfers as of recently this year. Abioki and, of course, Oluwatimi. So if Braylon Allen wanted to leave Wisconsin, come down to Michigan, we will take it. One more reminder to like today's video. Michigan, Ohio State, 16 days away. Michigan going to break a 22-year losing streak in Columbus. They're going to get the win this year, and we can only do it if you like today's video. I will have a Michigan football mailbag for you on Friday, and then we will be back immediately following Michigan-Nebraska on Saturday with the fastest post-game show in college football. So make sure you subscribe, like today's video. Until I see you next time, go Blue.